Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How we doing?
Okay, yeah, the change.
How we doing? How we doing? So let me stop my my program over here, and I'm going to go to gallery view. Awesome. Good to see everybody. I've got one of my favorite people in the house today, so I'm really excited to get started with that. But thank you for being here. This call is dedicated to agent attraction, and Thursdays have really been moved to, I love that. We were doing it on Mondays for a long time and having a lot of success. We call it the 2 comma club. So people that want to have 7 figures of residual income and committed to that. And we've had a lot of success with it, but we flip-flopped the week so we could do production coaching on Mondays to allow you to go through the week with those changes. And then Thursdays, a great day where, every day is a great day, but we find Thursday's a great day for the agents to really focus on that element of their business. So thank you for being here. With no further ado, I'd love to introduce the guest speaker today, which again, this is kind of a relaunch of the 2 comma club. And we've done it through accountability. We've done it through live dialing. And so Gene, what we do on Thursdays now is we do a moment of inspiration, sometime between 0 and 30 minutes, talk about scripts and dialogues, inspiration. Thank you for being on the call. And then we'll get into me making live dials. They make live dials if they're comfortable. If not, they could listen to me make my live dials and hear the objections and different things that you can do along the way. So with that, I would like to have Gene. Welcome to the call, Gene Frederick. He is one of the board of directors of EXP, the original grandfather. I don't know if that's the right word. It's the original OG of EXP. And, having him on the call today is a great honor. And he's living in Puerto Rico. Are you in Puerto Rico now, it looks like?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
I have a great Zoom background. I have 7 toilets right behind me in my living room. Does anybody ever do a rehab? Yeah, just 7 toilets. It's okay.
Yeah, no big deal. Hey, we're going to get you out of the shitter on this call. That's for sure. But, thank you everybody for being here. We do record this, so we'll have this on our agent attraction pages and stuff. And then when we do the live dials, we'll take the recording off so we don't, compromise any conversations or people's person, that side of it. But with that, Gene, thank you for being here. And we've got a lot of people here that are fired up about agent attraction. That's all this call's about. And you're the lead of our speakers that we have coming up. We've got some real joy coming up speaker wise, but I really wanted to start with you. You're one of my close friends, one of the people that inspired me to do what I'm doing today. We're a whisker away from breaking through 1,000 agents, which has always been on the vision board since day one. And now we're readjusting some of those visions. But for me, it's really about giving back and letting people understand how easy this could be and how difficult this could be, right? But with that, Gene, give me an idea of, or let the people on the call get an idea of your background, your story, kind of transitionally from the KW days where we first met into what you saw as an opportunity, maybe. And then maybe you can elaborate on what you see as the best way to grow an organization. And you've got, one of the largest organizations in the company, obviously.
Yep.
And a lot of people have seen your, napkin presentation and a lot of the things that you put out there for us. So with that, can you walk us through a little bit of your story, and maybe we'll let them ask a couple Q&As before we get into live dials.
Yeah, I would love to have you guys ask me questions, anything that you want to ask. I've been recruiting real estate agents for now 33 years. When I say that, I started in the 80s. So I was with Remax in the 80s, and then I got a bright idea. I'd go start my own company in 1989. And if anybody wants to do that, call me. I will help you. I will help you not do that. And I ran that for 5 years, recruited the wrong way, recruited a couple hundred agents. And then in 1994, I went to a small little company called KW. Literally, my wife and I were 2 of the first 10 agents in Dallas, Fort Worth. So we saw KW grow. We became team leaders. I started opening up offices, and in 21 years, I opened up 6 offices. I opened the Northern Cal and Hawaii region, all from Dallas, Fort Worth. My wife and I are both realtors. And the reason I could see this model, I got news for you, Randy. I just recorded it. I'm going to re-record it today. Don Hobbs and I are going to do a series. I'm doing a series on how I could see this so quick. I'm doing a series on the history of real estate from the 70s on forward, so that basically you guys can have that in your quill, because once you know the history of real estate, it's not really hard to figure out why I saw this thing 7 years ago. Because when I saw this thing 7 years, when I say this thing, 7.5 years ago, I met Glenn Sanford. And the first thing I asked Glenn 7.5 years ago, now guys, I was a lifer in KW, 21 years. You could not pull me. I have read underwear, read socks. I had read everything. So, but I said, sell me Texas. And he goes, Gene, I can't. I said, no, I want Texas. Sell it all to me. He goes, I can't. There's no franchises. I said, dude, now I really like you. What are you talking about? And he said, did you read that book, Pour Your Heart Into It by Howard Schultz? I said, yeah, that was 1997. And that's the Starbucks story. Well, guess what? Do you guys know Starbucks owns all their stores? They don't franchise them. I said, dude, I read that. That was cool. He says, that's what we're going to do with EXP. We're going to own everything in one entity. And I went, man, now you got my attention. How are you going to do that? He goes, we're going to let agents attract agents. I said, okay, wait. The old fashioned model is owners recruit agents, right? That's every model I've been in. And he goes, no, agents are going to attract agents. I said, okay, man, this is cool. Well, guess what? That's why I'm on the call with you today. This is different than selling homes. Just so you know, this is so different than selling homes, but I've been doing it since 1989. So the things I'm going to teach you today, the things I want you to ask is realistically, guys, go be with buyers, go be with sellers. I did that too at a very high level. This is a different gig. This is such a different gig that you have to take a step back and go, I've got to learn a different skill. Here's what I'm going to teach you today. Number one, there's 4 things you need to become a great recruiter. And I call it PAPA. Write it down, PAPA. You guys were with me in 2018. I went up on stage as Big Papa. It was not a good day for me, but it was funny. So the first P is persistence. The first P is persistence. You guys can read all the books in the world, but be successful in anything, you better have persistence, because you're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to try to recruit somebody tomorrow, and you're going to work on them a week, and you think it's all going well, and then they name somebody else. Just so you know, it's happened to me twice this year. Right? Persistence. The second acronym is A for action. You got to take the right action. You got to invite them to our convention. The biggest things that I tell people to do, that's why you're on this call today. And Randy goes, I'm going to teach you how to call. This is awesome. You're taking action. This is the most important thing to do, right? Block out time for the right action. I ought to see everybody on this call at the Build conference in August in Dallas. You invite them to the major events. Why? When you invite them to the major events, you let us do the closing for you. They get to meet Glenn Sanford, Jason Gessie, Michael Valdez, Jeff Whiteside, all of our staff, and some guy named Brent Gove. I don't know who he is. Some dude, some guy. So the bottom line is you learn what to do. The third thing is patience. The next P is patience. This is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to come back to that. And then the last thing is A, ask for help. Ask for help. Just so you know, I double booked today, Randy. I forgot all about your call. I had it in my day timer. I double booked. Somebody called me this morning and said, can you be on a call? And I said, yeah. And then I had to text him like 5 minutes ago and said, dude, I am so sorry. I double booked. I double book all the time. You know the why I double book all the time? Because you guys ask me. Ask. Ask Brent Gove to be on a call with you. Ask Glenn Sanford. You go, wait, I can't ask Glenn. You sure could. If you had a big producer that you wanted Jason Gessie or Glenn to be on a call with him, you ask. Glenn, I would love for you to, guess what? I bet you he does it. I bet you he does it. So let's go back to the second P, patience. You guys have heard me talk before. I talk about this. The first thing you ask when you're talking to agents, once you get a hold of them, tell me about yourself. I call it Team A. Tell me about yourself. Now, when you do that, this is the hardest part for you to do is the second part. Be quiet and listen. Be quiet and listen. When I say listen, turn your cell phone off. Turn your cell phone off. Guys, when I'm talking to folks, I don't have my cell phone on. When I go on a one-on-one Zoom or a one-on-one meeting in person, I turn my cell phone off. You know why? When I ask them to tell me about themselves and they start talking, I listen. And I try to listen to what's going on in their lives. And I ask them questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years in your business? What does your spousal unit think about this? I ask them about their families. A lot of times I ask, where would you live anywhere in the world if you could live anywhere? Man, you ever ask that question? It's kind of fun. They tell you their dreams. They tell you where they want to go. Why are you even selling real estate? You'll get, well, I'm just selling real estate. So man, I want to be a surfer. I mean, you get really weird stuff. I want to be a surfer. I want to surf the rest of my life. I want to give up selling real estate in 5 years. Well, how are they going to accomplish that? It has to be residual income. By the way, let me tell you a story really quick on patience. I get calls all the time. Gene, I've been working on this person for 3.5 years. I cannot believe it's taken me 3.5 years. I said, welcome to the game of recruiting. Guys, when I started this 7 years ago in Texas, my wife and I were, and Elizabeth Riley, there was nobody in Texas, right? Nobody. The first 10 people I called were some of my best friends. Some of the people that said they would always follow me if I started my own company. Guess what happened? Big goose egg. Not one of them wanted to come to a company with 400 agents in the whole company. Not one of them wanted to take that leap like crazy Gene and Susan, right? So I stayed on them. I followed up. And every 9 out of the 10 that told me no in the beginning are with me after 7 years. You got to play the long game. Write this down. This is a long game. Recruiting is a long game. It's not like buyers and sellers. Buyers and sellers are easy. Come market my home. I'm the best marketer on earth. I'm going to sell your home in 8 hours. You know, right? Guess what? We're getting ready for a down market. So in a down market, you better get ready to take listings for a little bit longer, right? But what I'm going to tell you is that I have patience. I never expect anybody to join when I first talk to them. I never expected Brent Gove to go yes in a week. That's so rare. You guys know that it is, right? It's so rare that they go, I'm in, right? So the other thing my mom taught me a long time ago is I don't prejudge. I never prejudge. I stay out of, I will tell you this, I'm the best at going to a meeting and I really don't care if they join. I just want to meet another person, man. I just want to meet another human being. I just want to meet them. Wow, what are their dreams? What are their goals? Man, I know more about them in a half an hour. I guarantee you, if I had a call with you guys, I'd know more about you in a half an hour than probably your spouse knows. They don't even ask. I'm telling you, I ask and I listen and I'm patient. Here's what you do wrong. I want you to write this down. This is the number one thing I see. I've been seeing it for 33 years now. Can't wait to talk about that rev share. Can't wait to talk about that rev share. Can't wait to tell them about that rev share. Gene, I'm on 3-way calls with you. And you're going, Gene, you're not even talking about the stock and rev share. I said, look, I haven't even gotten their goals and dreams yet. What do you don't rush it. Don't rush it. You'll get to it. But the problem is, you guys know, you can listen 500 words a minute. I can speak 225 words a minute. Your mind is already thinking, what are you going to do after you listen to Gene? God, I can't wait until I ask him this question. But you forget to listen to me while I'm talking because your mind's going, wait, and I see it all the time. I mean, don't get me on the phone and ask me how much rev share I earn. It's going to piss me off. It ticks me off. You go, oh, Gene, hey, tell them how much rev share you're making. What? I didn't even get their needs and wants yet. It just ticks me off. I go, what do you, what they care? They don't care how much money I make, right? You want to go to the residual and profit stock so quick, you forget to ask them. Guys, I've recruited so many agents on our training, KV Core, insurance. They hate their broker. I introduce them to the broker, get them to like the broker. You have no idea. I've recruited agents. It had nothing to do with stock and rev share. Absolutely nothing. Top people. And you go, wait, well, why would they join? Well, because I listened. I'm a really good listener. Let me tell you a story. And this is even when I was at KW, just so you know. My wife, beautiful wife, Susan, you guys have met her. She no longer has cancer, but she got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2006. This is 16 years ago. And so she had just shaved her head, had a nice, cool looking wig on. And she was in my office with me one day. She had stepped out of being a team leader. And she was just sitting next to me while I was interviewing people. And a gentleman walks in and he goes, I said, well, tell me about yourself. And he says, Gene, well, right now, my wife and she's got breast cancer. We're going through this. And he spends 45 minutes telling me about him and his wife and what they're going through. He signs up, he walks out, and Susan turns to me and she goes, well, you never mentioned me. And I said, honey, it's not about us. I mean, how easy would it be to be going, what, your wife's got breast cancer? My wife's got breast cancer. It's not about us. It's all about them. And I'm just telling you, to this day, she says, don't tell that story. I still tell the story because she no longer has cancer. She's fine, right? It's 16 years. The key thing is I really listen. Go on YouTube. Guys, I listen to TED Talks on how to listen. I mean, you guys are crazy. I'm in this game. I'm in the game. I'm in the game. Those people that you call today, that you set up an appointment, they buy into you first and EXP second. You first, EXP second. How can they buy into EXP if they don't buy into believe what you're telling them? Right? It's that simple. So put your presentation off to the side, get into this. And I know you're going to send them the video. I know you've got all these things. I'm going to send them the video and it's going to be Brent Goves or whatever. And it's going to be, they're going to get into rev share. The other thing I'm going to tell you, everybody on this call, thank you guys for coming, by the way. Residual will set you free. Write it down. Residual will set you free. You got to get out of the mindset that you can sell for the rest of your life. It will not happen. I just got a call yesterday from a really good buddy of mine. When I say really good buddy, I hadn't heard from him for a couple of years. He started with us 5.5 years ago. Guess what? He was in the room when I recruited Brent Gove 5.5 years ago. He says, Gene, I was in your hotel room. Brent was there. And Brent goes, I get it. I get it. And he goes, I kept selling and I've been an icon every year I've been with EXP, but he just realizes he has no residual. The minute he quits selling, how's the income looking? Right? You got to get into this game. This is not, by the way, it's the only game. There's only 12% of us getting rev share, right? If you went to the meeting last year, there's only 12% of EXP getting rev share. Okay, I'll just be one of the 12%. But it's a commitment. It's a commitment that you have to do. I want to take questions from you guys because I talked way too long. And I hate hearing myself talk.
No, that was literally perfect, Gene. And what really I appreciate is the fact that I've listened to you over the years, because what I'm teaching and coaching now is really very complimentary of what you're saying. So it makes me feel good in that regard, because a lot of people are looking for that instant success, right? They're like, I want to send these videos out. Everybody needs to hear this. And I'm like, slow it down to really get to know them and make the first appointment all about them. If you talk about you on the first appointment, you've kind of failed already, right? Yep. So talking about them on the first appointment, leading that to the second appointment, that now I get to share my story, which leads to a journey of EXP, right? But it's not vomiting or EXPing on their leg. So I really love that. But any questions, you guys can take put your hand up if you want to ask a question, or you could take your mic off and speak up if we have one at a time. Wendy, I'm switching to residual and it's a process for sure. Absolutely. But every little residual you add gets that much closer. You know, I remember my very first investment property we bought, we were $550 to the good. So we were making $550 a month after everything. And I was like, dude, if I could get 20 of these and 30 of these, if I get 20 houses, I'm going to have 10 grand a month of residual income. It's not really residual though. You know, when you start looking at that, it's not truly not the residual, it's an investment strategy. But anyway, questions for Gene. You got one of the board of directors, you've got, you know, one of the top recruiters in the company, if not the country. And, you know, he's here for you. And I appreciate that very much. So questions.
There's one.
I got something in
Somebody's
chat.
raising.
Hey, Randy, it's Mark, business partner, about 8 to 10 people on this call are on my team. I'm having a hard time motivating these guys. Suggestions. That's a good one. Gene, how do you motivate people that are seemingly unmotivated?
They should just become poor. Let this recession take you down and you have no money, you'll become motivated. Just so you know, I haven't always had residual. You know, I have 5 kids. You guys don't even know I have 9 grandkids. You know, there was a time in my life, Susan and I talked about it, 2007, 2008, 2009, when the downturn happened, we didn't have any cash. We didn't have any cash because if you had cash in 2008, when the market dived, what should you have done? Buy stock, right? Right? All the smart people bought stock. Now it's going to do it again. It's already gone down. Mm-hmm. And I looked at Susan last night at dinner. I said, this is the first time we've had cash. This is cool. I'm gonna go buy stock. I don't even know. You know, in other words, I don't know how to motivate people. I think have 5 kids.
Yeah, well,
have 9 grandkids. Something's got to motivate you. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it's a valid question though, because as leaders, we want to drag the people in our organization to success, and it doesn't work. You're either motivated to move away from pain or towards pleasure, and many people don't really find the deep feeling of moving towards pleasure. It's usually away from pain. So until you've experienced pain, it's tough to get into. But I think the big thing for me is belief. That to me, belief is the number one thing, because belief leads to optimism and leads to hope. And you need to be proven to have belief, right? That's believe it, and then you will see it, or see it until you believe it. Right. So for me,
also, yeah, the guy that called yesterday, for example, hasn't done any recruiting in 5.5 years with us. He just made the decision yesterday. He says, Gene, and I said, why? And he gave me his why. And his big why is he's got a daughter and a granddaughter now, and he wants to leave something behind. Now that's his why. Doesn't have to be mine, doesn't have to be yours. Whatever the why is, now will drive you. In other words, my why always drives me. I mean, this is not for Gene and Susan. This is all for my family. I mean, this is all a legacy thing to me, right? I can't spend as much money as I'm making now. Oh, don't call me and ask for money. I know all of you guys. You probably, no, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. I can't, in other words, it's what drives you to wake up every morning and go do what you do. And really, quite honestly, Randy, that's a personal decision. And until it hits home sometimes.
It's very true. And you know, I got that goosebump feeling when you said it, because it rings in my soul. And it's been a tough few years, you know. I was a coach. Yep. It makes it seem like it should be easy, but this is not easy, or everybody would be doing it, right? But it's the typical 80-20, or in this case, the 90-10 principle. Another statement was, I also do a Monday call for my downline in recruiting, and about 25 to 40 people show up every week, which is amazing, but no one recruits. In capital letters, I feel useless. In that particular case, here's my suggestion from a coaching perspective, and then I want to hear Gene's as well. But you cannot drag horses to water. All you could do is offer the pond, right? And then
Yeah.
what I would do to get momentum is little tiny wins. Literally focus on small things that will move the needle with them, because again, that's going to build their belief when they get that first recruit and then the second recruit. And all of a sudden, it seems easy both from the inside and the outside. But the momentum of what you were doing daily that led to that activity, right? So start out very, very simply by saying, hey, have a conversation with somebody and lead that to a three-way call with me as the leader and let me do the heavy lifting. They're on the three-way call. They're learning. You know how many three-way calls I did for Don and Tom, and how many Brent has done for me, and how many Gene have done for me? You know, in the beginning, Gene's on speed dial, right? And then I learned what I'm saying, what he's saying, and then I could start edifying and I start bringing other people into it. But that's what I would say to that.
Here, you want my opinion on that?
Please.
Go get another 25. I'm serious about it.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people go, well, how did you do this? And I said, I knew what I could do, but I didn't know I was going to find Rob Flick so quick, and Scott and Tracy Lewis so quick, and Pat Hayes, and those came like 10 months into my deal, 8 to 10 months in. They didn't come in the beginning. I just kept going. I said, at some point, I'm going to find a Randy Byrd. At some point, I'm going to find a Don Yoakum. I mean, it just realistically, I don't know how to find them other than that's why you guys are on the call. You guys are on the call. It's a process. So I would say, I had somebody call the other day and say, you know, I got 100 people on my team. Nobody's doing anything. I said, well, go get another 100.
Yeah. Amen. And I had a similar conversation with somebody this week, you know, and when you get so invested into somebody, and it could be a recruit, by the way, you talk to him for a year. Jimmy Rex took me 2.5 years to recruit. And he's just now starting to get indoctrinated into the EXP in his blood, right? He was a KW guy forever and doesn't understand the model, is not looking at it deep enough to understand it. He's starting to get it, but it takes time. Took 2.5 years to bring him to EXP. Why do I think he's going to be Brent Gove in 30 days? Right. So that transition changes for everybody equally. I got a couple of hands up. Rich, hand up, take off mute, and ask Gene anything you like.
Yep. Quick question, Gene. So how are you setting up your meetings with agents? And then, of course, you're going to ask them about them and you're going to listen. And then at what point are you beginning to transition, you know, when you've learned about their why and their dream and their visions, how are you transitioning back into EXP and talking about that?
What I do, and it depends on who they are. And you know, the different, when you get your list of people you're calling, if it's people that I just know or people that I've done a transaction with, I just flat out call and say, I'd love to share this model with you. Do you have a half an hour next week? I have no problem calling anybody I've done a deal with, anybody I actually, you know, or even somebody I feel like I know on the board. Just so you know, I don't think there's a cold call in real estate. Here's why I'm telling you this. There's no cold call to real estate agents. You're an agent. I'm an agent. That's not a cold call. Oh my God. Calling agents is like, you know who that is. I mean, that's not a cold call. You know, to me, a cold call is, you know, calling somebody I don't know. And I know every single real estate agent's what they go through. This is the hardest business to sell. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what I do is just want to meet with them. If I did a transaction with them, here's what I do. And I've been teaching this for a long time, even with KW. If I do transaction with somebody, I usually do not tell them to talk about EXP during the transaction. Just don't do it. Wait until you close. Mm-hmm. About 3 days after you close, I call them up and I say, you know what, Rich, it was awesome working with you. You know what's really weird? We never get to meet each other anymore. You know, I never even got to say thank you. Hey, next Tuesday at 8 o'clock, can we meet at the Starbucks over by your office? I just want to give you a small gift of appreciation and say, thanks, Rich, for helping me close this deal. Now, if you call me today and tell me you're going to give me a gift, I'm showing up. I'm just telling you, it's a 10 out of 10, 100%. And I taught this forever. And then people went, well, they showed up. And what do I give them? I said, I don't care. Give them something. And then talk real estate, Rich. At that point, I would talk just real estate. I would not talk EXP until when? Until they bring it up. Right? So that's what you do. And I've been teaching that forever. And by the way, I can tell you success story after success story of people that never recruited a soul, and said, Gene, I did it. And they showed up and I gave them a gift. And then they asked me about EXP. And I went, I don't know. I've never taught. Can I set you up with Randy? Here, let me set up a meeting Thursday, because I have no idea. You could play that game all day long. You could literally play that game all day long and be successful. The main thing is why I have action as my second thing, persistence and action. You got to take action.
Totally.
You got to have a game plan.
And Gene, I value your time. We're at 9. I don't know if you have a couple more minutes or not, but
well, I've got minutes if you want me.
Yeah,
mainly because
we'd love you to go.
I've already screwed up. I
appreciate you picking me. I appreciate you picking me, and the 35 plus people here appreciate you very much. So Pete had a great question. I love this one, actually. I know Pete, he is a baller. He actually came from KW, him and his beautiful bride in Philly, and you've met them in Cabo briefly, but
yep.
They were very entrenched into the Keller Williams model, had profit share, all these things they pretty much gave up to come to EXP because of this vision, right? And so he asks, when you're still in production and that's currently the main source of income, what's a good schedule to implement to be purposeful about agent attraction?
Well, thank you, Pete, for asking that. I think this is the hardest thing to deal with agents that are just really good, because what comes comfortable to you is selling homes. I mean, let's face it, it comes easy. And when you're comfortable, it's hard to grow. It's hard to grow. I'm sorry, you get complacent. You just do. So what I want you to do is block out. I'm telling you, the best thing I've ever done, and I did this actually in my KW days in the early 2000s, I blocked out time. And so whatever time's good for you, here's my thing. I would block out the time where I'm high energy. Because listening takes more energy than talking.
Amen.
Just so you know, really listening, turning off the phone, going, hey, tell me about yourself. I really want to know about you. So I really couldn't tell you, Pete, what exactly. I just blocked out time. Now, how much time that is, you and your wife got to get together, right? Let's put our hands together. You know, maybe delegate a little bit more of the selling, maybe transfer some of those to some other people. I've had some people go, Gene, I'm not working buyers anymore. I'll just do listings. I'm gonna refer out all my buyers, so I've got that time to recruit. And I don't mind saying the word recruit, because this is what I've been for 33 years as a professional recruiter. Just so you know, it's a skill I've had to learn. It's okay. It's not a bad word. I've never had anybody attracted to me except one person, Susan. That's it. Other than that, I don't need any more. Susan's it. So attraction might be a good word, but quite honestly, become a professional listener. Become a professional listener, figure out their problems, and then figure out how you're going to take our model and address their problems. Whatever that problem is, I go to that. I could give you 2 million examples. I just don't want to give 2 million stories today of how somebody just said, hey, all I want to do is increase my production by $5 million a year. I said, well, what if I help you do that? Would you come next week? And they go, yes. I never talked about rev share. I never talked about stock. And then when they got with us and they started doing production, 6 months later, they're going, Gene, well, how do I recruit people? I go, Cool. I'm glad you're asking. Yeah.
I love that, Gene. Another question, Russell, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
There's Russell. I know Russell.
Hey, Gene, how are you?
Brother?
Russell's a beast.
Good.
Well, I'm a grinder. I don't know about a beast. Hey, question for you. I've had
Sure.
a lot of big success. I've had first Zoom meetings on, folks I had never met before. I've done 45s, I've done 30s. What is your suggestion on that first call? And then, tell me about yourself. I mean, what is the length, and what is your strategy on a call one on somebody you haven't done a transaction with and that you just kind of set up on, you've never met?
There's two things. Number one, if I'm setting up a call, this was just me. I've been recruiting for a long time. If they really want to know about EXP, right? They're coming to know about EXP. I budget an hour and a half. It's a good 20 minutes to 45 minutes on getting what they want. It just always is. Now, I'm just a good listener. I think it takes me that long. And it's, I've really been doing this so long. My time period was I budget an hour and a half. If they're high Ds and they tell me in 2 minutes what they're all about, of course, it's going to be closer. For ones that I don't know, you know what? I'd budget the first time you meet them, half an hour, 45 minutes to get to know them, and then say, hey, let's set up another time to go over EXP. If you didn't know them.
Mhm.
Here's the key to everything in recruiting: setting up the next appointment. You've heard it. Setting up the next appointment, setting up the next appointment, setting up the next appointment. Hey, you know what? We've got a conference in June in Orlando. It's kind of cool. In fact, one night the whole company is gonna reserve Universal. So if you want to bring you mentioned Cindy and your son Todd, wouldn't it be cool to go to Orlando, check us out, and then have the one day at Universal with your kiddos? I'm always talking about the next meeting. I'm always doing that. And then after June, I'll be talking about Build. After Build, I'll be talking about the convention in Vegas. And I just go every 2 or 3 months. That's what my game plan is. Because if I can get them to an event, that's where they get to meet Randy Byrd. That's where they get to meet the people that go, yeah, I just cracked 1,000. And Randy comes up to me and goes, Gene, I just cracked 1,000. I said, oh, that is so cool, dude. And they don't even know who Randy is. I go, well, let me introduce you to Randy. Here's Randy and blah, 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 blah. They get to see us in action, guys. This company is so collaborative. I've never seen it. Guys, I was with KW for 21 years. You can't get me to say a bad word about KW, but I got news for you. Nobody interacts with the other agents like we do. I've never seen it in my life. I mean, it's just craziness how much we're referring to other agents inside of EXP. We're just helping each other, training, coaching.
The collaboration is definitely the difference maker. And we thought that we saw that at a high level. But this company is different. One more hand up, double your income. Do you want to come off mute if you have a question still?
Yeah, thanks. So I have, it's tough to get discouraged. I kind of went pretty hard last year, and then I got a little bit discouraged here for a few months. Decent sized organization. I think that with all the technology and stuff we have, I'm just having, I guess the truth is I'm really trying to help other people do this. I'm the same guy who talked about with, business partners with Mark is, every single Monday we get a good group. Like we have automation and text. So like our downline's about 275. And so every person in our downline, because of our technology, gets a text to say, hey, come learn about agent attraction. And we have a bunch of people and they come for 8-9 months. And I just feel like seriously punching myself in the face and beating my head against the wall because I don't know how to motivate them. Like, we have a large team in Calgary, Mark, and I have like 40 agents. And so I can motivate a lot of people for sales, but agent attraction, I just don't feel I'm good at it. Or is it just that they have to want to? No. I just don't know what to do. I really don't. Like every single Monday we have something for the last year and people just don't do it. So I've even said, I'm like, with 40 people on, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm here. Like, because you guys don't do anything. So why am I even here to do this? Because I come every single week to give you guys advice, anything you want. I show you how it's changing my life and it's still not resonating. I just don't know what to do. And, I'm coming back because I just had a break on my honeymoon. I'm coming back and I'm ready to go. But I just don't know the next step to how to motivate people. I'm having a really hard time with it.
Well, I'll tell you my story. The first year I was with EXP, we recruited 20 people the first month, 10 the next month, me and Elizabeth Riley. And I started having training in my own home every week. Come to my house. Susan will cook something and I'll teach you how to recruit people. Every week for the first year, nobody in that initial group has turned into a recruiter. But here's the key. I just kept doing it. I'm just telling you. You can't motivate people. That's my initial group. You got to understand. From that initial group, should they have shown it? The only one that's done it is Elizabeth Riley. Me and Elizabeth. Other than that, there's nobody. So I'm sitting here. Here's what I will tell you. Don't feel discouraged. You're doing what you should do. Keep doing it. Don't blame them. Get another group. Just keep doing it and inviting people. And eventually there's going to be a Richard on the call. Eventually there's going to be a Cindy on the call going, okay, I'm in. It's such a weird game because when agents attract agents, it's different. If we sold a franchise to you, and then you sold another franchise to Randy, you'd expect him to recruit, right? That's why the old model is different. With ours, we get frustrated because we get so many. 275 is killer, dude. Don't get mad. Come back from your honeymoon and get excited again and say, good, I'm going to go get my next 275, because these first 275s are duds.
I wouldn't go that. Mark Verzile's on here, so I can't call him a dud. He's my business
I know.
partner. We've done a bunch. but no, I get what you're saying. I think that I just wanted to make sure, and that thanks for that advice. Is I've been every Monday. I haven't stopped. I've only missed a Monday because I've been gone here, and it's consistent, and it's so that's all I needed to hear, is just keep staying the course. And if you get the odd person, you just get the odd person. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm not like super terrible at something, but to hear the man, the myth and the legend himself had the same thing, it makes me feel a little bit better that if I don't get it, then I can still keep the path going. So thank you, Gene. That means a lot. That means that I can keep going and not worry about it. So thank you for that advice.
Well, and you're teaching them what to do. You're teaching them. Everything you teach has got to be duplicatable. This call is duplicatable. This is right. Randy's teaching you what to do. Once you get big, you do your own call, right? So everything I've taught is duplicatable. Very big key.
And I love that. And I know Mark intimately and his business. And again, remember the numbers. 88% of the people enjoy the model and sell houses, and they're happy doing that. They may want revenue share, but they're not doing it. So when we look at the 12% that are doing it, if you're inviting 40 people to an event, there's only mathematically 5 that are even interested in doing this or will take advantage of it. You're just looking for those 5.
Can I address that really quick, Randy?
Yes.
You guys, I'm a numbers freak. I used to be a financial advisor before I got into real estate, blah, blah, blah. I mean, a financial analyst. At KW, you know what the percentage is that make $3,000 more a month? 36,000 a year in profit share. This is KW, 170,000 agents, whatever they got, right? What is the percentage of those agents that make 3,000 a month, 36,000 a year in profit share? You know what the percentage is? Would you think it's 12% like us?
Yeah.
2.
I hear 2. No, it's not 2%.
No.
Oh,
It's 20% of 1%.
Ah.
It's not even 1%. It's 0.2%.
no way.
Yes,
Wow.
I know the numbers. Why do you think I came here? So in other words, nobody at KW is doing this. We can say, oh, wait, only 12% of our people are getting rev share. They got, I mean, when I'm talking 3,000, it's just nothing. Guys, it's nothing. We're going to have, my prediction is I want 10% of our people, at least 10% of our people to be making more than $3,000 a month. Now you think, oh, 36,000 a year won't change your life. Residual, it will. It's like you were a character on Friends or Taxi or one of these old sitcoms. You're getting 3,000 a month for the rest of your life, and it's willable. You've just changed your family forever. By the way, and it can grow after you've passed. So that's my goal. I always knew if we could get 10%, are you kidding? 81,000 agents now, and we have 8,100 getting revenue. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I don't think that number will change. I really don't think it will, because human beings do what they do, what's comfortable. Hey, what's comfortable for me was owning 6 Keller Williams franchises, owning a region, getting 250,000 a year in profit share, and I sold all of it but the profit share. I sold all of it. I became uncomfortable 7 years ago. It's not, it would be easy for Susan and I to say, well, we'll stay, right? Who's here? Hey, babe. Yeah, quit. The walkers are coming in after the walk, screaming. So anyway, there's Susan and Jamie Gerbic.
Hi, Susan.
So hi guys. Hey. So anyway, it'd be comfortable. I looked back on it, Randy. I was making 650 to 750 a year. By the way, that's 650,000 to 750,000 a year residual at KW.
Wow.
I sold it all. Okay, now I'm uncomfortable. Do you guys know what I made my first 12 months in revenue share? Write this down. I'm not a Brent Go. I made $39,000 my first 12 months. 39,000. And I sold basically 650,000.
Wow.
It was not good. You know, Susan's looking at me like, is this going to work? It took time. It took time, right? And then a year later, you know, and then it worked. And I told her it's working, because on that 12th month, I got $11,000 check. And I looked at Susan. I said, you know what? I've been doing this for 12 months, and I'll never make less than 11,000 again in my life in a month. 12 months go by. Write this down. I got a $45,000 check. I looked at Susan. I said, Susan, I'll never make less than 45,000 ever again in my life. In a month, it's residual. It's willable. And then 12 months go by, 3 years. I get a check for $165,000 in a month. And I go, guess what? I'll never make less than $165,000 in a month the rest of my life.
Wow.
That was 4 years ago. Now, I can't talk about my numbers because they're so bizarre. You guys can't think you can achieve them in 7 years. You can. You can. It's a lot easier now. Brent, when he talks about his numbers, he did it much quicker than I did. Why? Because it was already established.
Mm. I love that.
Am I making sense to you guys? Hey, here's another thing you can tell people. And I know there's only a few people on this call, because I'm looking at your pictures, and thank you for showing you my pictures. There's only a few people on this call that even sold real estate in the 80s. But when I quit my job, I'm going to tell you guys this, and please don't, this is just between us. These are the recruiters. These are the people I want to talk to. I was in the 1984, I was making, this is a true story, I was making about $40,000 a year, $45,000 a year. Now in the 80s, believe me, that was okay as a financial analyst. I quit that to go into real estate in 1984. 5 years ago, in May of 2017, 5 years ago, is it 5 years ago? Yes, it is. Guess what I got a check for? $45,000 in a month. Remember, I just told you that.
Yeah.
I went, holy cow. I used to make $45,000 a year. Now I'm making $45,000 a month. Now write this down. Last week, I made $45,000 a day.
Wow.
Now I'm just telling you that because that's only every work day. I don't work Saturdays and Sundays. I don't count Saturdays and Sundays. There's 22 work days in a month. You can figure out how much money I'm making. But do you want to make $45,000 in a year, $45,000 a month, or $45,000 a day? It's up to you.
Mic drop.
Well, here's what I'm telling you guys. I want you to get it. By the way, we did 170 million in rev share last year. 170 million was given out. That was just last year. That was our 12th year in business. What's it going to be in our 24th year?
Right.
I'm predicting over $1 billion. No doubt in my mind, within 5 years, we'll be giving out over $1 billion a year in rev share. Okay, who wants it? Who wants to be in that 12%? But it takes, thank you, raising your hand, thank you. Here's what I want you guys to do. Block out your time, block out your schedule. Tell your spousal unit, I gotta go do this. I am gonna sell homes between noon and 5, but between 8 and 10, I'm doing this. And focus on it. And
I love
focus on
that.
it.
And, you know, when I was doing the network marketing thing, that was typically people that had day jobs that wanted more out of their life. They want a secondary thing to replace their primary thing, right? And they taught us everything was done from 5 to 8 o'clock at night. I mean, that was just the networking time. What's stopping you from doing that? Let's just say you are selling 100 homes a year or 1,000 homes a year, like Mark on the call. Take and make your priorities straight aligned with what that vision and that dream is, right? And maybe it's grinding for 2 years from 5 to 8 o'clock at night and letting your spouse and other, you know, significant others know that that's your goal and that you're doing this together. And there is pain that has to come along the way with that, but it's worth it. You know, I look back,
By the way,
even in just the last couple year journey of mine, Gene, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, I got to $3,000 a month in rev share in my first 4 months. And I was like, this is crazy. This is actually something that really works. But the belief was challenged for a year or 2 years after that, because you hit stumbling blocks and people don't show up and you're working harder than everybody else. it's okay. Just keep doing it.
Well, until I got these earplugs, that phone was attached to my ear for 3 years, maybe 3.5. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I always tell this because I make it personal. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. I love Christmas too, but Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday because we always get the 9 grandkids and as many as we can.
Yeah.
And we all have to say what we're thankful for. So I started this in May of 2015. Write that down. May of 2015 when I made the decision and the belief. 2.5 years later, it's November 2017. And we're at Thanksgiving. And everybody around, it was a great Thanksgiving. I mean, the kids, my adult kids, my grandkids, they had to say, a little 4-year-old, what they're thankful for. The last person that got to talk was Susan, my wife. And she goes, I'm thankful EXP worked. It was 2.5 years. I'm sure it was 2.5 years of her. Is this really going to work? Is this really going to work? And you know what? That's a blessing. But the thing was, it took that long. That's why I say patience was what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Patience is hard. Patience is, it's a learned skill. It is you and your spousal unit getting together and not believing all the crap and not falling off the wagon when somebody names another sponsor and somebody, you're going to go through a lot of pain. But the cool thing is when you know where you're going. I knew Randy would get to 1,000. Who cares when it is? Who cares what the date is? Right? Isn't 1,000, Randy? Aren't you making about $50 a month per person? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, that's about accurate.
About $50 per month per person. So you get to 1,000, you're making 50,000 a month. Woohoo! 600,000 a year residual. Divide that by 4%.
It's crazy. For a decade prior to EXP, I had 25,000 a month on my vision board for a decade. And now it just seems like I was thinking too small my whole adult life.
Well, and that's why the only reason I told you my story was the 45,000 a day.
Yeah.
Somebody's.
I'm gonna mute somebody.
That's okay. Do you think I ever imagined when I started this 7 years ago making 45,000 a day? No. But here's the cool thing. After 2.5 years, I did. After 2.5 years, I did. After I got into it, I did. And I upped my vision. And here's the thing. You need to make as much money as you can so you can give away more money. That's it. This is just the beginning of my giving, is my new saying. This is just the beginning of my giving. And it's hard to affect people's lives if you don't have the money to give.
So true. I really, really appreciate this, Gene. The fact and willingness of you to come in and speak to us and spend this much time with us just shows us who you are. And I'm proud to have you as a friend in my life and a leader of the company, man.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
I love you, brother. Thank you for
guys.
being here. I appreciate you. And
Have a good
again,
call.
your time's very important.
Hey, Randy,
Thank you, Cindy.
Randy,
Yes.
I've got my first recruit signing up this morning.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's exciting.
That's how it starts right there.
There it is.
I
See you
love
guys.
it. Thank you
All right.
much, Gene. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Stay on the channel here. Stay on with me. What we're going to do is, let me go. All right. What do you guys think of that? Pretty amazing, right? I love Gene. He's literally just got a heart of gold and he's always available. Matter of fact, when we asked him if he could do it, he's like, whatever you need, I'm there. And you guys have the same ability with Gene, by the way, and the same ability with the leaders of this company. Don't make your story the challenge in that, right? So a couple of takeaways, and I'm going to stop the recording. We're going to get into our activities, right? But a couple of takeaways: PAPA, persistence, action, patience, and ask for help. I love that. Number one, asking them to tell you about themselves, right? A lot of what I coach in my coaching and my channels is to make the first call all about them. If you do that and you do a good needs analysis, you've got their why, you've got their triggers, you've got their pain points, right? And then the second call becomes about you, which your you is your journey into and through EXP that then tells your story and introduces them to EXP. And following that suit, you're really going to get to know them, and then matching their energy with the follow-up campaign is persistence, right? It took 2.5 years to bring even somebody on this call to EXP, right? Somebody waving and smiling. 2.5 years, we were friends, and it was a cold call that I reached out to Cindy, right? Cindy, where did I originally reach out to you? Do you remember? I do.
Where?
Yeah.
I was driving home from an appointment and you called me, and
It was Facebook.
Oh, was it
We-
Facebook?
I did a little tiny, and what's cool is you could go back and historically and see all this stuff, but Facebook's where it looks like we originally connected. And then I complimented and just said, how are you? I was KW2. And then we started chatting.
Oh,
And then
that's
that
right.
led to
Yeah.
a real friendship in the first year.
Yeah.
And then it led to trust, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
And then it led to a decision for them to move from a massive amount of stake in a franchise over to a brand new starting at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so that had to come from trust and all that stuff. And then when she got to that point, she was like, you're the guy. You've been staying with me for a couple of years. Are you doing that to the people that you'd like to have in your business? Or are you doing the one and done and you're not getting what you need? And I do this all the time, by the way. It's really hard for me to shut up and have a connection conversation with people. Andrea knows me. I'm vocal, man. It's hard for me to shut up. Sometimes I have to leave myself notes like, shut up, right? Let them talk.
So Randy, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So,
Do you want me to take the recording off, or are you cool with this?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
In the 2 years that you and I were doing our dance,
Yep.
you did keep in touch with us. I use Contact Junkie for my buyers and sellers. It looked like what you were doing to us was something like Contact Junkie. If I didn't use Contact Junkie, I wouldn't know that.
Mhm.
But what is it that you use?
I'm not giving you my secrets.
Tell
No.
me.
So honestly, I've probably changed 3 CRMs in that period of time, which is painful because I've gotten 3 different numbers to agents that I've been talking to, which is it's really kind of flaky. But I've been really going through the CRM thing. But in the beginning, I was using KV Core. So that was my program I used for about 1.5 years to recruit in. So I had 3,000 agents in there, and I'm communicating. I have different things that I do. I always teach the hot, warm, cold, right? If they're really excited to talk to you, it's a hot weekly follow-up. If they're kind of warm, it's every 2 weeks. And if they're cold, it's every month. So for you and I, it was every month until you warmed up.
Yeah.
Right. And then once you warmed up, we were talking all the time. Right. So,
Yes,
so
but
KV
is it a
Core in the
drip?
beginning, and then CRM Grow towards the last year or so, I've been using that. And then I also have reminders that is for me to just personally reach out. Right. So it'd be text, call reminder. And then I'll go, Cindy, it's been months since we've talked. And then I'll further that along. And based on the conversation, she could speed up to a warm or a hot, depending on what the conversation is. Or the other way, they could be hot and all of a sudden, like I got somebody said they're signing up last week. I've been talking every single day. Now they've gone dark for 2 days. They go to a warm. But I'm not going to beat them up and chase them, but I'm going to adapt them to a warm.
So Contact Junkie that I use for buyers and sellers is not a CRM.
It is. It's a CRM. You could weave it, any communication. I always preach, use the one that you use, right? Use the one that you like and you're comfortable with. There's no perfect CRM.
No, I'm saying that Contact Junkie that we use
Yeah.
is not a CRM. It is strictly a program to drip on leads and clients.
Oh, I got you.
So
Okay.
you're
I'm not
not
familiar
using-
with it.
You're actually using a CRM to do the drips?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I rewrite the language and the automation, right? So I call it a follow-up campaign, but like in CRM Grow, it's called an automation. But the bottom line is I could pre-say what I want to say. So let's say it was Vicky and we just had a great conversation. I want to follow up every 2 weeks. I have written it already, but I can adapt it. But hey, Vicky, it's been a couple of weeks since, today she gets a text. So she knows it's my smart CRM number. Hey, Vicky, great connecting today. I want to stay in touch with you. I'm really focused on being a better connector and networker, and let's do business, right? So that's day one. She knows my number. And then in 2 weeks, automated, she gets a, hey, Vicky, it's Randy. It's been a couple of weeks already. I can't believe it. How are you? Right. And then depending on what the back and forth goes, I take over the conversation. And then in 2 more weeks, hey, Vicky, how you doing? Just checking in. It's been about a month since we were first on that call. Time flies. And then, hey, Vicky, it's been a couple of weeks. How you doing? And then it gets a little softer where it looks like it's me, like, Vic, what's up? Randy Byrd, you know, what I would typically write. And so that just goes through automation until it changes in what they respond, right? Sometimes they don't even respond. It just keeps going. And then when they say, hey, Randy, I've been thinking of you, and then I'll address it and take over and move up the cadence.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
making it harder than it is.
Yes, absolutely. We make it harder than it is, because the hard part is the action. True story. I'm not going to say which client, but I had a coaching client this week that's super talented, super successful, GCI that's a million. I mean, everything is aligned that they're amazing businessmen, business people, right? And they go, this just nobody's talking to me about EXP. This is really hard over the last couple weeks, this and this and this. And we just had all these stories. And I said, all right, show me your numbers and I'll show you your story. Right. So let me see your numbers from the last 2 weeks. True story. We walked through last 24 hours. How many physical appointment face-to-faces have you had, Zoom or otherwise? Well, 0, 3 days, 0, 7 days, 1, 10 days, 2, 14 days, 2, 21 days, 2. I go, so in 21 days, you've talked to 2 freaking people. I'm not mad at you, but here's your problem. It's just a numbers game. What about if you only talked to 2 buyers and sellers over 21 days and you had 0 business? It would do the same thing. But we're willing to have all this activity over here, and then agent attraction is not as fun. It doesn't feel as good. It's hard. We get rejected, but it's worth it. And if you made 100 contacts, of course you're going to get the 80-20 principle, the 80 that are like, oh my God, another EXP agent. Get better at your language, get better at your objection handling, get better at your connection. Say, I'm sorry, this is not about EXP. I say this at least 5 to 10 times a week. I'm sorry, I don't know where you came up with that this is about EXP. It's not. Well, what is it then? I see you're with EXP. I was calling to connect you and see if we could do referrals, see if we could network, do business together, collaborate. Do you find yourself to be open-minded? It sounds like you're not. I have nothing to lose, but I'm getting them out of that mentality, and then I get into them, right? And almost without exception, after I spend a good half an hour with them to get to know them, and I know their pain points, I know their wives, I know their stuff, I know what they like to do, what they don't like to do, what their pain points are in their business, it allows me to offer a solution for the pain point, right? Hey, again, this is not about EXP, but let's jump on a call next week. I want to talk to you about listing presentations. I'll show you what I have. That's your struggle. I think we can fix that for you. And then they come back and they go, well, that's amazing. What can I do for you? Nothing. We're good. Right? In my belly, I'm like, yeah, you could do something for me, right? The application, right? Join. That's ultimately what I want. But I'm still moving the direction of what is best for them and being integral with it, because they could tell if you got sales breath, right? So I love this. I love the fact that Gene came on and spent so much time with us today. And I'm going to stop this segment to get into the dials, because I want to stay in integrity with what I'm talking and doing here. And I encourage you guys to stay and make some phone calls now while your brain is hot, you're fired up, you've got some belief in you from Gene in this call. And you could either listen to me do it, painful, or you could do it yourself and mute yourself. Either way, I'm here to help you. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer those along the way. We had a great crowd today. I really appreciate everybody showing up for this. We're going to do this every single week, typically about a 30-minute. Gene went long today, but in the first 15 to 30 minutes, the speaker's going to give value of how they do it. And I'm talking Noli Williams is coming, Shanka Koska, Brent Gove, Sheila Fergeron. You know, we've just got some real leaders coming up to show what they do and to build belief in you. And that's what this is all about for me. All right. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording. Let me do a little housekeeping. Stop recording.